All Three Beards Media podcasts originate from the Gravitate Co-working Studio, sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. We are broadcasting live from the Gravitate Co-working Studio, and I'm sorry you had to see Jim's picture last, and that's the last thing that's in your mind. But that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Save the best for last.
So Ben's like the middle child.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
How's it going, fellas?
Good.
Great.
How's the last 2 weeks been?
Good. I mean, we're getting right into the swing of things, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, got tested a little bit on last Tuesday.
That's for darn sure. That's
we'll talk about that, baby.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Just getting going. Battling injuries. Battling.
Yeah, how's everybody feeling health-wise?
I'm actually feeling a lot better than I was the first week or so of the season.
I'm a mess.
Yeah. We know. Would you please elaborate?
Oh, I turned and planted at a game. It was probably Pella was where I first did it. And my right calf kind of popped a little bit. Didn't think a lot of it. I mean, going up and down the floor, we have our various issues every year, right? Especially the older we get, Jim.
Yep.
Icy hot, whatever, biofreeze, ibuprofen, kind of just your standard referee stuff, right? Well, kept getting worse. And then, as we'll talk about, we had a long game Tuesday night. Tuesday night. 3 long.
Yeah, 3 long ones.
And it cramped up, and I actually ended up tearing a portion of my right calf. So I got a kind of swollen leg and foot and bruising and trying to get through PT and got a new calf sleeve today. So just limping my way through it. Sorry. Carry me, boys.
The silver lining is you have 2 calves.
That's true. That's true.
Speaking of carrying you, what's going to change now?
Wow. Hey, Jim, I just want to remind you who asked you to be a part of the crew.
I know. But the thing was, you asked me to be part of the crew. I didn't have to be part of your family.
That's not the only reason, Jim.
Oh, I'm just kidding, Sam.
Does everybody know that Sam's related to me? They do now.
I don't know. I
now.
wasn't really going to say it out loud, but you just did. So I guess they know now.
What are we, second cousins or something like that?
Twice removed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's good enough to be on his crew, Jim. How about that?
Love you, Sam.
What a slow start for us. Talking about me gimping around and Sam being related to me. Oof.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, we gotta get this thing going a little bit better than that.
It'll get better. I'm excited for tonight. We have a really awesome guest coming on, and it's gonna be a really good show. But last show was kind of fun, right? We had our families on. We talked about, why we do it is because really we become a family, and then we have to give a shout out to the people that obviously are at home when we're on the road. But Ben, you had your 2 daughters on, and Jim, you had a granddaughter, and I had Missy and the 3 boys. It was kind of crazy here in my house, but
Isn't that normal? I mean, that's
Yeah,
just a standard day.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, I got to lock myself in the basement right now while I'm doing this, but yeah. But if you see one of them just show up, don't be surprised. So
I thought I could hear him in the background, maybe a little bit.
you might be able to, you know, they're probably watching Disney and playing football and getting hurt. So
Nice.
but and Jim talked about Fool's Rules last time. The 3 seconds in the lane.
Yeah, and wasn't it amazing? We still have people that during the last few games yelling for 3 seconds, even coaches. So, you know, it's going to be there all the time, no matter what. But hopefully we can enlighten people a little bit on these rules.
I think literally, Jim, it was the first game after break, and you had to explain that to a coach, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I guess the moral of the story is we need more fans, more parents, more coaches, more players watching our podcast.
Absolutely.
So everybody that's out there, make sure you're sharing this with everybody you know, because we're trying to help. We're just trying to help all of you.
Yep.
We're trying to
absolutely.
help you, and we're also trying to make our lives easier.
Yeah.
So if we can help you help us, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it was just the exact situation we talked about. Kid got the pass in the lane. He was probably in there for 2 seconds, caught the ball, drove to the lane, and shot the ball. And, you know, I have the coaches on me about 3 seconds. And, you know, we talked about it. As long as he's driving to the basket, we don't have a count anymore. I said if he would have passed it out from there, we'd have had 3 seconds. But he shot the ball, so we didn't.
The
And
best
then I
one
think-
though, Jim,
Go ahead.
is when you're trying to do preventative officiating, right? Talk to the kid, hey, make sure you work the lane, get out.
Yeah.
And he was still in the lane, but he said to you, well, but I passed it out.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, exactly. That did happen too. Yeah. He passed it out and he stayed in the lane. I called 3 seconds and he didn't like it, but
Yeah.
it's not 3 seconds in the lane with the ball. That is not it.
So I think that, again, the moral of the story is not all players and not all coaches know the rules.
Mhm.
And we sure
Absolutely.
try to know all the rules and you know, so
Yep. For sure.
awesome.
So let's kind of recap the last 2 weeks. We've been, of course, we had Thanksgiving break. That was kind of nice. Got Ben's calf maybe healed up a little bit before he tore it again.
That's so true.
And then, and then on the 27th of November, we were at Lenox against Red Oak.
That was our first boys game, right? Official
Yes.
boys game of the season.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously we'd had the jamboree, but that wasn't an official game. So it was nice to get have a night where we have both the girls and the boys, kind of like the rest of the season for the most part. So
Yeah.
it was good. Both games I thought were pretty competitive, really. Fun night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good night.
Yeah. Not much there.
Popcorn.
We did have popcorn.
So popcorn ratings on that one, Lenox. Pretty decent, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I had a 7.7. Sam was 7.6 and Jim was 7.8. So honestly, that's kind of a unanimous, pretty darn good bag of popcorn, really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we also had they were good to us. Chicken sandwich, Snickers, and a Powerade after. So props to them.
Yep.
Shout out Lenox.
Absolutely. I think while we're talking about it, maybe we should come back to Pella real quick and just explain that, hey, listen, your popcorn was good. But we couldn't just give you a 9.2 out of the gate, you know. So it was
Right.
probably better than our
Yeah, we probably should have.
than our ratings.
Yeah, the ratings probably were definitely better on that. It was just first night out, and I think we had to start somewhere in the middle and go from there. But yeah, we would definitely rate that higher now that we've rated a few others.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
so
I mean, we averaged around 6, roughly, 6 on that, and that probably wasn't fair. So,
Yeah,
shout out Pella, your popcorn was better than a 6.
it was.
But we had some really strong popcorns this week. I'll just say that.
Yeah, we did.
Yep,
So
it was good. So after the 27th, the 28th, we go to Gilbert versus Roland Story. This is the long one.
Good girls game in that too. I mean, it was rebound, ball up the floor, made basket, get it out of the net, get it back in bounds, and it was running up and down the floor. And
Yeah, it was nice flow.
also a 94-foot floor. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of movement there.
which I assume most everybody listening understands that a 94-foot court is basically like a college floor, right? It's a bigger floor. And
Yeah.
in a lot of the high schools we are in, you can vary from 94 to probably 84 or maybe even less. I mean, Lennox probably has one of those.
I think there's some that are 80, and I think a general rule is high schools are 84, but there are some
Right.
that maybe are just a little bit smaller than that too.
Well, and I think Lennox is one of those, right? It may be 80 because
Right.
we have to step away. Like the out of bounds, area is not very big, and we have to step away so we don't break our fingers pointing at the wall when we have an out of bounds type call.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And that doesn't sound like a lot, but man, that bigger floor makes a difference, especially when you have a long night like we did. So,
Yes, for sure.
Sam,
Yeah, to the boys' game.
Yeah, the boys' game, it was back and forth, close pretty much the whole entire game. And at the end of the fourth quarter, it was really close, as in like tied. And so we go to overtime. We think, all right, one more period. Nope. Go to a second overtime. All right, we'll finish it here. Nope. Third overtime.
Triple your fun.
It was it.
overtime.
And the thing about the overtimes, it wasn't for lack of scoring.
No,
Both teams continue to score. They just happen to score the same amount of points.
I
I'll
mean,
tell you
it
one
ended up
thing-
94 to 87. So, I mean, lots of points scored.
Yeah. And one thing that I noticed that was good was at the end of the fourth quarter, the fouls don't reset like the other quarters. So every
Right.
foul, we were shooting
Yeah.
2 shots. And I thought that maybe that would limit the number of overtimes, but obviously it didn't.
right.
Yeah. And just so everybody, knows that basically overtime is just an extension of the fourth quarter. It's not actually a new period. So we don't reset the fouls on that. It is just an extended fourth quarter.
Yep.
Yeah, good point.
And with 3 overtimes, I think we did run into a couple kids fouled out, but not a lot, right? I mean, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It really was.
And honestly, I will say the play was fantastic for an early season game. I think one kid for Roland Story had 44. Does that sound
44.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the 3 overtimes, they weren't, it sounds like it was close the whole way, but honestly, it felt like a team would get up 3, 4, 5, 6, I think even up to 6 points. And then we had one big shot after another to keep those overtime periods going to tie it back up. So man, it was well played, and unfortunate that somebody had to lose, but man, what a great night.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I don't remember if it was the first or second overtime, but I remember when Gilbert had the ball underneath the basket with 1.8 seconds left, taking out of bounds after a timeout, needed a 3 to tie it, throw it in bounds. Kid puts one up, horn goes off while it's in the air and goes right through, and we're into another overtime. So
Yeah.
it was an exciting game. Those are, even though they're maybe take a little toll on your body and even your mind, they're fun to do. They're fun to do.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That was
Much
a
more
really
fun than any
night.
35-point running clock game is.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
And really, through all of that, the coaches were fantastic, right? I mean,
They were. Yeah.
players were great, coaches were great, fans were great. I mean, it was just a great night, a long
Great
night.
atmosphere.
Great night. So,
Yep.
props.
Agree.
Yep. Absolutely.
Popcorn that night wasn't too shabby either.
Yep. They treated us well.
7.5 for me. Sam, you were up at 8.2 and Jim at 8.0.
Yeah. Good popcorn.
Yeah.
Right amount of salt. Perfect.
And wasn't he nervous about it? Didn't you mention we needed popcorn? And
Yeah,
you mentioned
yeah,
the podcast, and he's like,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
all worried about it. And it turned out at that point, it was one of our highest scores, probably. I think it was up to at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not to mention the 3 big 24-ounce piece teas that we got. That
Yeah, right.
my kids were thrilled to have.
Yep, for sure.
And then we had sandwiches there also, didn't we?
Yes,
I blacked
we did.
out. I don't remember.
Yeah. Yep. We had chicken sandwiches, I believe, there also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So,
Yep.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you,
Yes.
Gilbert and Roland Story, for an amazing night.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. And then the last game that we've had the last 2 weeks, December 1st, we were at Mount Air against Southwest Valley.
Mount Air is home to one of our old retired partners, the Hall of
The
Famers, the legend, Scotty Giles. So he's
Hall of
athletic director down there, and treated us amazing. And it was great to see him and spend a little time with him down there. And also, Scott's evaluating officials. Obviously with the 100 years of officiating he has some knowledge. So he's sharing that with officials. So that's great to get down there and hang out with him. So
Yeah, one thing that he does down there that I think is really nice, and I probably will piggyback on it when we finally get our gym back open again, is he has 2 cones set up right outside the door of the gym that he sets in parking spots. Well, 1 or 2, depending on how many are coming. We came down to 2 cars because these guys didn't want to ride with me. And so
Correct.
he has those saved, and we call him beforehand. He comes out, moves the cone, we park, we go right in the gym. So that means a lot, especially when you're getting out, going home. It's cold out, and you've taken a shower, and right there's the car to get into. So shout out to Scott Giles on the way he treats officials and just the way he does everything as an athletic director. He does a great job.
yep.
Mhm.
from
And also
the-
we got the postcards or the postcards from the student ambassadors.
Yes.
That was a nice touch too. Kids taking the time to handwrite postcards saying, "Thanks for being an official. Thanks for your time." Just that nice little gesture really makes it all worth it. So
Agreed.
And that too was included, like that ambassador group had made us essentially like little gift bags that had cheeseburger and like a Slim Jim, and what else was in there? Condiments.
condiments.
Yes.
Condiments
Yes.
were in there.
Condiments.
Had our names on them. It said Ben, Sam, and Dummy.
Don't do it.
And we knew which one was Jim's.
If I could smack you through the computer, I would.
Well, you can't.
Saint Pride, Jim.
Go Saints.
Oh my! So I hate you so much, but better get to the
Well,
popcorn.
Popcorn.
Woo.
Honestly, and this doesn't have anything to do with Scotty. This
Nope.
was legit the best popcorn we've had so far. The bar has been
That
set,
was
right?
set. Yeah.
I went 8.6.
Whoa.
Sam 8.4 and Jim 8.5. Like, that's unanimous. It was delicious. And
It was.
it's going to be hard to top the rest of the year, I think.
It is. Yeah.
But bar's been
But
set.
that's Scott. That's Scott, right? He sets the bar, and and does everything to the best of his ability. And yeah,
Absolutely.
Yep, couple good games that night. Really have nothing negative to say about any of it. Just had a great week really last week.
Yeah,
coming
I
back from
agree.
Thanksgiving.
A lot of fun.
it really was. Yeah.
Except for having to ride by myself down to Mount Air, but it is what it is.
Ben and I didn't mind that one bit.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I mean, the weather was horrible, Jim.
It was terrible.
To be
Let's
fair,
move on, 'cause I'm tired of listening to you now.
Okay. Well, it's time for you. It's Fool's Rules time. Andrew?
Ooh.
They fooled me, Jerry.
Yeah.
So our Fool's Rules for today is going to be the block charge.
Can't wait to hear
Simple
this.
call. Simple call,
Simple.
Jim.
It's the easiest call in the game of basketball. I mean, because
Easy.
basically all we do
And-
is flip a coin while we're out on the floor, and if it's heads, it's a block. Tails, it's a charge. Right?
Very non-controversial.
Oh, everybody agrees with it all the time. I mean, we've got two players going in. We have a collision. Somebody might be on the floor, and we make the call a block or a charge, and everybody's happy.
Yep. Half
Agreed?
the time we have our eyes closed.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I say, flip a coin.
We
boom,
are blind.
and it is one of these, or we got a block. So anyway, the most probably misunderstood part of this rule is when you hear, and we hear coaches say it too, and especially the crowd, and we call a charge and they yell that the defensive player wasn't set, meaning he has to be standing still, and that is incorrect. They have to first establish legal guarding position. What is legal guarding position? Before we have any, without contact, 2 feet on the floor facing the defender. 2 feet on the floor facing the defender. When you establish that, you can now move laterally at an angle, backwards, and you can be moving. If the offensive player initiates the contact at that point, it is a charge. Okay. If not, if he doesn't have legal guarding position, and we have, let me say, not just contact, illegal contact, we have a block. So sometimes it is difficult to make those calls. Sometimes we might make the wrong one, but we are trying to first officiate the defense. We're looking to make sure that they've got that legal guarding position, both feet on the floor facing the opponent without any contact to begin with, and then they can move. And as long as they keep that legal guarding position and we have illegal contact by the offensive player, we have a charge. Anything you guys want to add to that? I mean, I know, and the thing is, sometimes it's really, really tough. We're not joking about that part. It is tough sometimes, but we do make the best call that we can make on that. We really don't guess. We don't flip a coin. We officiate the defense and we go from there.
Yep. I guess we were going to have some videos that didn't work out tonight, unfortunately. We'll try to have that on a future one. But I think, everything you're saying about moving and making a choice and all of these things, everybody has the benefit of seeing these as it happens generally, right? The crowd probably has the best view a lot of times. We are close to the play. Often the play is coming right at us, and we have to make a decision like that, right?
Yeah.
And I think, we talk about officiating the defense or maybe officiating the offense. And I think what I do personally for me is I'm trying to decide who initiated the contact. 1, is my defender legal? And 2, who initiated the contact?
Absolutely.
And that's what I try to do, whether it's right or wrong. That's up for debate, but that's how I try to simplify it so that I can make that choice in a split second and that leads me hopefully to a better percentage of getting it right than wrong. Right?
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
And another thing from an official's perspective is if you've got two officials who put their hands up and have a foul, make sure you make eye contact.
Yeah, we do not want a blarge. And that basically means that one official is coming out hard with the block and the other one's coming out with the offensive foul. And now we've got a double foul situation.
Right.
Because and that's what we talk about. There's double whistles in a game. Sometimes there's a triple whistle. We won't talk about that right now. But if you have a double whistle, we look at each other and we try to make sure if it's contact that's in the lane, we're going to give it up to the lead who's underneath the basket that we figure they've got a better shot at it. But, we try to hold our call. We don't want to come out with it real hard until we know it's ours, and then we're going to make the call. Because there's times where we'll go in the locker room after we've had a double whistle, and we might even ask, did you have the same thing? And I might say, well, no, this is what I thought, but you probably had a better view. And, sometimes we agree to disagree.
For sure. And I think that's a really good point, Jim, is, I was at a game Monday night. I had the night off and was able to watch a game that Winterset was playing in, and my daughter's a manager, so I was there. And it's interesting to debate those calls even as officials, right? And I would say us three on the floor might disagree about it. Even after watching it on film, we might disagree about it. And I think that's just what we need to express is, man, it's a tough call. We're trying to get it right, but sometimes we don't. And that's probably the one where we're going to have to discuss with the coach, like, yeah, maybe I blew it, or I didn't see it that way. This is the way I saw it, and we got to move on, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So,
agreed.
Andrew had our producer Andrew had a good question here for us. He says, "Do any of you guys dramatize your block charge signals for fun?"
For fun?
For fun.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm assuming like an
sometimes.
Eddie. He's thinking of Eddie Hightower, right? Got to be.
I would think so.
But
I think sometimes, man, when and it's that big call. I think Sam even, he did tell us he had one last night. We won't say what he said about it, but sometimes
I banged that thing.
Sometimes you come out from underneath the baseline and you bang that charge. I mean, it's hand behind the head, and you are punching that thing out there because you're making sure everybody knows that you were right on that call.
Right. And, talking about if you have a double whistle and you're holding, once you have the nod that it's your call, that's even more reason to really, really hit that hard, right?
Yeah.
To let people know that you're confident in this call and we are either staying here and having shots or we're going the other way.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's a huge thing for, I think you can ease coaches' minds and sometimes even people in the stands when you come out and you are confident about your call.
Sell the shit out of it.
Yeah, because sometimes you watch officials and they're just kind of not sure I got that right. Well, everybody sees that in the crowd, and so then you get everybody thinking, oh, he doesn't have the right call. If you are confident and you make that call and go on from there, people, I think, respect that and I think sometimes you just fool them that you made the right call.
I know what the heck I'm doing, and I got that call right, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Really.
Absolutely.
If you have a strong whistle and you're confident, you're almost there.
Yep. And I think it's, Andrew's right. It's a way to have a little bit of fun with the game too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe a hop and bam, let's go.
I mean, because sometimes we got to get the Scotty G hoop video on here because, I mean, he's the best at it. We all try to emulate it, but it just doesn't. We can't. Nobody can do it as good as Scotty. So
I don't know how Scott hasn't had shoulder replacement.
I'm sure he will.
Think probably in about 5 or so years he's going to have to. He's not going to be able to lift anything.
Yeah.
Well, we can spend a whole podcast on hoop, so let's save that. But
yeah, absolutely,
it's a coming. Fair warning, Scott. Gonna be video of you, buddy.
Hey, let me ask you this one
Absolutely.
question, because I was watching a game last night. What happens when you do, because we talked about the block charge, what happens when you do call, and it doesn't have to be block charge, you call it double foul? What are we doing on that?
We're gonna call the foul on both players, and we're gonna go to point of interruption, right?
Good job. I knew that was what it was. Me being me, I got my phone and I got on my rule book, and because they went jump ball.
Okay.
They had one last night in the game that went jump ball, and it should be POI, point of interruption, on that. So I just, those are some things when we talk about, and I think that Chuck will tell us this. It has told us this before.
You blew it, Jim.
Oh, hey, I didn't say anything. I said, hey, he has told us this before, that get in the rule book. Because you don't want something to happen like happened at the Iowa game with the fair catch signal or non-fair catch signal or whatever it was. Get in the rule book, make the call right the first time, and eliminate confusion in that. So that's one thing that, and that's how often does a double foul happen?
Not very often.
Not very often.
I try to avoid it because I don't want it. But it was absolutely the right call last night. I was watching it, but they administered it wrong. But that's all right. They'll learn from it and move on from there.
A lot of times I will have it if I've got two kids battling in the post, and I've talked to them like, knock it off. And you really can't decipher who's pushing who because it's gotten to that point, right? Like, bang, double foul. Here we go.
Yeah.
Just
got to clean. You just want to clean it up and let them know you're watching and you're seeing what's going on, and we're not going to put up with it any longer tonight. So
for sure.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Well, hey, I'm sick of listening to you two talk. How about we go to break and hear from our sponsor, Revelton, and then come back with our guests?
Awesome.
Why take the best corn in the world and make it into fuel when you could make it into whiskey? That's the question that launched Revelton, Iowa's most visible and fastest growing distillery. Owners Rob and Christy Taylor embrace the grain-to-glass philosophy, sourcing ingredients locally and overseeing on-premises production and bottling at their facility in Osceola. One sip, and you'll agree that Revelton's handcrafted whiskeys, gins, and vodkas are the best you've ever tasted. And with the launch of their rye whiskey, made with 100% Iowa-grown rye and corn, and their new bourbon coming soon, there's more Revelton to love than ever. Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. The great thing about working from home is working from home. The worst thing is working from home, especially for face-to-face collaborations with customers and coworkers. And let's face it, coffee shop meetings are neither private nor professional. So skip the trip to Starbs and investigate Gravitate Co-working Space. For more than 10 years, Gravitate has provided large and small office and conference spaces perfect for hosting meetings, workshops, or other events, as well as private phone booths for confidential conversations. Plus, all spaces include secure fiber internet, free coffee, and access to a kitchenette. All you need is your laptop. Gravitate does the rest. And renting space at Gravitate is surprisingly affordable. An hour of office space costs about the same as venti caramel macchiatos and breakfast sandwiches for two. Daily and monthly rates are also available with no long-term commitment. Learn more at gravitatecoworking.com. That's gravitatecoworking.com.
That Gravitate
guys.
Co-working sounds really good.
Yeah, it does. Sounds amazing.
It does.
Is our guest here? Hopefully. There he is.
Good evening.
How you
What are you
doing?
doing, Chuck?
I'm good.
Where'd Sam go?
I know that I like it better this way.
There he is.
Man, he's back.
I'm back, Jim. Jeez, I'll tell you what.
I was going to wear my pink clothing, so I better have a pink shirt.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
That's great. Well, everybody, I want to introduce Chuck Britton, who's here with us. He is, I believe, is your official title the coordinator of officials for
Yes.
the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union.
Yes.
Awesome. And, Chuck is kind of the godfather of the officials. He does a ton with preseason meetings, in-season stuff that we get, evaluating officials, assigning officials to tournament games. I mean, I'm sure there's 1,000 things that I'm not even thinking of, but it's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort, and we appreciate that. So, Chuck, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
For a moment
there, I thought maybe you had been drinking with your sponsor.
Oh, I am.
With that introduction.
I mean, if you're not supporting our sponsors, you're not doing it right.
This is a little scary for me, so I'll do my best.
All right.
You'll do just fine, Chuck.
It
Sam
feels
can handle
different.
it. Anybody can.
Yeah, that's right.
It probably feels a little bit different, like we're evaluating you a little bit tonight, which is, the opposite of normal when you're at, watching us, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So
let
Chuck,
me tell you real quick. So I saw Chuck last night, and his feedback for me was, "You're beyond help."
Yeah.
I've been telling you that all year.
And I said, you know what? I've heard that before.
That is true. I realize that you don't do a little hop like Giles, so I figured you're on your own.
Dang it!
I mean, Scotty had 40 years of experience. I mean, it just doesn't come overnight.
No,
He's a dandy.
Yeah.
He's a dandy.
He's the best.
Yeah.
So Chuck, tell me first of all, like, how did you get into officiating? Go way back in time for us and kind of give me your history of how you got there.
Well, do we have to be serious for a while, or
No, you can say whatever you want.
Or what?
No. Yep.
I graduated from Earlham High School in 1973.
E-Town.
Yep. And I didn't have a penny to my name, and I started refereeing for a little cash. And two guys by the name of Jack Padilla and Dan Neville talked me into officiating. And for anybody that's a little older than me, they would know that those guys were icons. And did it, basically to make some money, and went to UNI to college and took a referee class. I refereed for 5 years before I refereed a varsity game. And my first varsity game was Fort Dodge and Ames boys. And started refereeing college ball the next year, and worked in the Iowa Conference for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, and had a cup of coffee or two at the Division I level, at the mid-major level, and just really liked the high school game.
How many years?
I told guys for many, many, many years, we never worked a doubleheader. We worked the CIML, Des Moines Metro at that time, and the Mississippi Valley, and those were all single games. And we worked a ton of games at East and Lincoln and North, and that was back when, they filled the gyms. I was telling somebody last night, or not last night, I forget now, they all run together, but I think it might have been Friday night. I was at Marshalltown, and I told somebody that last time I was in Marshalltown, they played Ames, and it was 2-person at that time, and I don't remember what call we had. It was Hoiberg was playing for Ames. I remember that, and we made a call at halftime, and for the life of me, I don't remember what it was, but that place was packed. And everybody, it wasn't like half, it was everybody was booing. and they weren't sitting and booing, they were standing up and pointing and booing. I can tell you there is no better feeling in the world than that. It was awesome.
Did you get the call right?
I don't remember what it was. It was just so awesome to have everybody booing at us. It was like, I remember getting in the locker room at halftime and saying, "Oh my God, that was cool." And and then I don't know, was lucky enough to referee a few state tournaments and refereed football, and just I don't know, just and this job I have was accidental, and so I'm glad to have it to do. So many people gave stuff to me. If I can give something back, great. There'll be people that think I give something back, and there'll be people that think I'm in the way, but
can't please everybody.
No, I'm really proud of the fact. I just looked before I got on here that my staff of 25 observers, we've seen just a little over 220 officials so far this season.
Wow.
Nice.
And we have information on them. Not that we need information on them, but we have feedback, and so do they, and that's good. So I'm very proud of that. So,
how many years did you officiate?
Well, I started in 1970. Would be the season of 74. So I just got a 50-year plaque. So I think 50, or not 50. I think 44.
Nice.
Years.
That's awesome.
More in football than I did in basketball.
Okay.
And but there's nothing like basketball. I mean, I go out now and watch, and I'm jealous. You guys, everybody's having a good time. The sportsmanship is so much better than it used to be. And
are you
the
sure?
coaches, this is the one thing I laugh about is people tell me how this coach is tough and that coach is tough. You guys today, you have no idea. you have no idea.
We are so prissy.
You are. I saw Mark Core last night at East, and I thought to myself, man, he used to be Casper Milquetoast, and I've heard people say he's really tough to work for. So, but no, George Duval, John Carl, Arnie Zedeker, George Funk, those were battles. Now, they couldn't get off the bench.
Oh yeah,
So it made it even worse.
Right.
Yeah. So they weren't supposed to. Share a funny bench decorum. I hear guys all the time being a little afraid to enforce bench decorum and to take a tough stance on some things. And I was probably known as the guy that didn't put up with much, and not because I didn't want to, but because I thought I had a responsibility to the other team. And sometimes I felt like I had a responsibility to the team, because when the coach is going crazy, he's not coaching.
Yep.
And so one night we worked a game at Cedar Rapids Prairie, and the Davenport West coach, his name was Dave Wessels, I believe. He apparently had seen us referee somewhere before and coming over to Cedar Rapids. And that was back when we could stand on the side of the coaches on the score bench side, so like we weren't afraid to talk to each other. So we would.
Wait a minute. Now wait a second. I'm going to stand up for us for just a second. Do you not tell us to be brief? What is it? Be bold, be brief, and be gone.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Is it brilliant in there?
So much to you couldn't remember it.
Well, you said it so fast.
Yeah. All I know is be gone.
Be brief, be bright, and be gone.
That's what I said. See, I had it right.
Yeah. So
I just seen you out, Jim.
We're standing there, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Well, I suppose we're gonna have to stay seated tonight." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, bench decorum. I suppose you're gonna make us stay seated." I said, "No, sir. You can get up twice."
Awesome.
And that was. He goes, "Well, I guess I'll just stay seated."
That's fantastic. For all of you that don't know, that would be 2 technical fouls, and then he would not be allowed to be there anymore. So
yeah.
Then he can stand up in the locker room all he wants.
I think there's we had so much fun refereeing. Oh my God. You guys, you're so lucky. I mean,
Hey,
the guys that are still doing it, so lucky.
Hey, Andrew,
We
can
agree.
you show a pic real quick that I pulled out of the archives of Chuck?
Oh no.
Oh.
Nice.
I mean,
Okay.
can you,
What?
Chuck,
Okay,
can you confirm that that is you with hair and a mustache? Chuck left us.
Yeah.
Look at those pipes, man.
So look a little like
Oh, he-
that.
He's got that. Yes.
Also, I
Dang.
think it goes without saying that collared shirt is fantastic as
It was
well.
awesome.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Nice.
awesome. Thank you, Andrew, for that.
That was for those of you who know Randy Peterson. Randy Peterson. There was a week where we refereed 3 games, and they involved the top 6 rated 4A boys basketball teams, and Randy Peterson was at all of them. And he wondered, where in the hell are you from? I said, well, I live in Decorah. And he goes, what are you doing in South Des Moines? I said, well, I want to work good basketball. And right now we don't have a lot of college basketball. And so high school basketball was it. So that was how that happened. So, yeah.
What are your
Yes, I do. People said I look like a porn star. Fine. I will.
Andrew, flash that up one more time for me, real quick. Oh man.
The first thing I see is Ron Jeremy. But better looking.
Thanks, Andrew.
That was 1983.
Hey,
Really?
year I graduated.
February 1 of 1983, Linmar and Kennedy played each other, and there were 7 Division I players on the court at the same time.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And we did it 2-man, just an added tidbit.
I did a lot of that too, Chuck.
Well, I don't want to make any of you feel bad, but I wasn't born till '88, so.
I did 1 year of 2-man. It sucked.
Yep.
Chuck, tell me what are you doing for the girls' union now? What's your official duties? Tell me a little bit about your day and your season, that type of thing.
Yeah. I'm supposed to coordinate essentially training and coordinating and postseason and these evaluations. I have 5 people spread out over the state who are my what I call supervisors, for lack of a better word. And then they have 3 observers underneath them who go out, observe the games, send us feedback. My job is to compile all of that. Now I'm doing that for both the boys and the girls.
Okay.
But my main thing is to assign postseason for the girls' union. Up until last year, I had done both the boys and the girls for 3 years, and I can tell you that was if you're going to do it right, it was a lot of work, and I tried to do it right, but
Yep. So we had talked in a past podcast, might have been our last one, about evaluations. So when we were at Pella, of course, Doug Deers watched us that night.
Yeah.
And did an evaluation for the girls' union. So what do you do with that information, Chuck? What happens after Doug sends that off to us and to you?
Yeah. I go through it. If I see anything that's a little bit crazy, I call that official. Talk to them a little bit about what they saw. Lots of times I'll take those evaluations and go watch a little bit of game film. I try to get out and watch as many games as I can personally before the holiday, and then I try to watch as much video as I can of different individuals. Obviously, I'm trying to find out who's postseason eligible, which we just found that out here about a week ago, and then trying to put people into the proper slots and take everybody's partners and try to keep those together. I think that's important. I think it's important that coaches have input. And so I try to take coaches' input and utilize that as well. Coaches tell you a lot. If you shut your mouth and listen, they will tell you a lot. And so I try to get as much information as I can from coaches. That's true in the officiating world too. If you go out and you beat, I know everybody gives me the 3B thing, but I did it for a reason, because if you are brief and you have an idea what you're talking about, and you don't stand around waiting for somebody to tell you how good you are, you got a pretty good chance of excelling at this. And so I spend a lot of time watching and listening and trying to recognize who's really working at it, who's not really working at it, who's just lots of different things. But and that I get off of those ratings. They come to me. They come to me on a Google spreadsheet, so I get them immediately.
Okay.
So like today, I think I had 19 today.
Wow.
And I usually my wife gets up about 7:30, and I get up about 4:30.
Wow.
So I get 2 or 3 hours of quiet time that I can do that, and now with Huddle, I can go on and look at your game pretty quick, and I have access to every game. So
that's changed a lot in the last few years, and we've talked about that, right? We can review film almost instantaneously after, so that's got to be nice for you to not have to travel to every single game also.
Yeah. One thing I wish officials would do is when they review their film, they quit worrying about their judgment. I wish they'd worry more about, are they in position? Are their mechanics good? It tells you a lot. I spent a lot of time. You guys probably know, you go to the state tournament and you're pretty much assured you're going to have people with good mechanics and people that are usually in position. So it's interesting.
Do you get a lot of questions daily then from coaches, officials?
Yeah. Probably more from Gary and from Gary Ross. He gets probably more of the questions and then he forwards them on. I deal with quite a bit of the what I call conflict, like some girl gets in a fight or some foul didn't get called, and I kind of deal with that. That's a touchy situation. You got to be compassionate, yet understand that, hey, we're going to miss them occasionally, right. And we're not perfect. And I do the best I can not to. No, I don't do the best I can. I make sure I don't throw anybody under the bus, and try to keep everybody kind of in the middle, and try to keep those conflicts from blowing up. As you know, my boss at the girls' union is she's awesome. So
we hope to have her on a future podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
You should have had her on tonight instead of me. That would have been a lot.
We had to have the Godfather first.
That would have been a lot. That would have been a lot better for you.
So, Chuck, you said you call the official, if you have something alarming after the game. So I just want to know, Sam, when he called you after that Pella game, what did he have to say?
You know what? I didn't have any missed calls or voicemails, Jim.
Sorry, Sam.
I said he was beyond help.
Yeah, he told me last night what he was going to call me and tell me.
That's funny.
So, Chuck, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
you in the winter go down to Florida, correct?
Yeah.
So, we talk about what you do here. You come back to do the state tournament stuff and that, correct?
Yeah.
And so what makes it so much that you feel that you give up that to Florida to come back and do this in Iowa?
Oh my God, you guys bust your tail all winter long. It would be so disrespectful.
Well, I'm amazed because, you still go down there, you spend your time in Florida, and then when it comes, that tournament time, you come back to finish up the state tournament. I just think I think that shows how much you give back to the game of basketball by doing stuff like that.
I appreciate it. I just would have viewed that it would be disrespectful, and I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be able to relax if I was down there. I think that there is. I know other people feel differently about this, and that's fine. They're more than entitled to it. But I truly believe that there is a huge, huge, huge advantage to having that time at the state tournament where you have that pregame. And I think, I just think it wouldn't be good if you didn't have that. And I like to come back because I like to see the fruits of my work. Whether people believe it or not, when you're on the court, I'm living and dying right with you, and I'm hoping the game's going perfect. Jean can tell you that she's watched me walk the hallway in the back when things are really tight, and I think things could go sideways. I mean, my refereeing shoes are on when you guys are working. I'm getting better at that, where it doesn't I probably don't show it like I did, but oh man, yeah. So I wouldn't do it any other way. In fact, if I couldn't come back, I'd quit. I think it would be. I just think it's disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful for us as administrators not to go out and see who's working. You can watch film, but you can't see how it's going on. I watched it wasn't you, Sam. I watched a young guy last night who
must have been good.
Come on, man.
Well, I could change my story, I guess.
Sorry to interrupt.
I watched a young guy who tried to convince a coach of something last night while a free throw is going on, and he forgot that after a missed free throw, there was going to be play, and he's still standing there talking to the coach. And it's like, I just think that that's what I can offer, I think. And so we visited about it. I wasn't going to stay as long as I did, but I stayed until they were available, and just shared that, it is all business when you're out there, because you can't have any fun if you're doing a lousy job.
Right. Well, we've talked about it. Ben and Sam and I have talked about evaluations are great for anybody. We talk about it. Teaching, I always remember being when I was at the elementary teaching, and some of the teachers would get so nervous because they were being evaluated this week or whatever. And
yeah.
I just always felt that, first of all, if I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing, I'd like for somebody to tell me that.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing something good, I like to hear that stuff too. So,
yeah.
It can only make us better at what we do. If we really want to be at the top of our game, being evaluated is always a good thing, never a bad thing.
I'm really proud that we have a lot of really experienced officials who are observing, and they're not working. I used to see that a lot, where the person evaluating was also working, and it I don't know, it wasn't clean, and so now you can not like it, but at least they're not gaining any advantage, and I just think it probably looks more ethical in my mind.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
Funny stories. I don't have any funny stories. Well, I do have, but probably shouldn't tell those.
We
I
won't
do
tell
have
any of
I do-
those either.
How many people are watching this? Because I do have one thing I'd like to say. Next Wednesday night, we're going to do a statewide webinar, and if you have a play or you have a question about a play, if you want to email it to me, that'd be great. We'll try to answer it on the webinar, and we've got a few clips that we're going to try to show. I understand the last Zoom meeting was a struggle. So we're going to try to make this not a struggle, but if somebody has any things for that, any ideas for that, I appreciate it.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
And
What's your
that's
best-
gonna be just me. So sorry.
What's your best advice for a new or a young official?
Work every game you can, as often as you can, with as many different people as you can, and listen to everything somebody tells you and decide what's positive for you and what's negative for you, and shut up and move on with it. And
I'll tell you,
don't-
Ethan
Go ahead.
Gordon is a prime example of work every game. We worked with him one early at the Jamboree. He had 54 dates scheduled. But he can do that because he's young
Yeah.
enough.
Did you say Ethan Gordon?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I actually just talked to him a couple days ago.
Well, we enjoyed working with him. He's a good official.
Well, and that's the one thing I would tell people is that, and we've been saying it, Pete and I've been saying it for years, but there's a lot of really good young officials out there, and they just need time. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I refereed for. I guess I refereed my first state tournament when I was 27, so 8 or 9 years, and I know people that refereed for 15 or 20 years never worked a state tournament. And I know people that worked all their life and never worked one. I don't think that should be anybody's goal. I think that maybe it's a goal, but I don't think you should beat yourself up if you don't make it. That's pretty lofty air there. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Chuck, do you think it's a good or a bad thing that I'm partnered up with Ben and Jim?
I would say it's bad.
I knew it.
I would say you have so much more upside.
That's because he's actually young.
You know what?
Yes.
I like free beer.
I'm almost like not young anymore.
Oh my! Shut up.
Sam.
sorry.
Sam. That's true. They used to tell me you'll be a young official, and then all of a sudden you're old.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm
Yeah.
a young one anymore. Sorry, Jim. I know that doesn't make you feel good.
How'd you feel last night? Did you feel young?
I felt halfway young.
Did you feel like Did you feel like you needed to be the leader last night?
I did feel like I needed to be the leader.
That was a good move on your part.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are pretty good officials.
They are.
I'm-
Absolutely.
That's one of those deals where a little cleaner mechanics, and
Yeah.
they're pretty solid.
Yeah, it was a good night.
Yeah,
Really
it
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went over to North after that, and I was at Lincoln before you.
Okay.
Wow.
And
3 games in one night.
yeah, it worked out pretty good. I got to watch a half, and then I got to watch a little over a quarter, and then I got to watch a half, and then I was home at 11. So
Nice.
yeah.
Did you have any popcorn anywhere?
I did. I had popcorn at North. Yeah.
And was it good?
Do you follow my X account?
I don't know if I do.
Okay.
Oh,
We
no,
will
I'm not
now.
sure I do either.
I always put the popcorn on my X account,
Perfect.
and share who has good popcorn. Right now, New Hampton High School has the best popcorn in Iowa.
Yeah.
What?
You're gonna have to get us a game there, I guess, next year, so we can rate their popcorn on our podcast.
There you go. I've tried to get some of you guys to come up and work games, but You seem to always have a better offer.
Oh. Some of us have jobs that don't allow us to travel for 3 hours a night.
Mhm.
Yeah, who's your boss, Ben?
He's an asshole.
I'll agree with
I
that one.
I don't know. You guys can tell. What do you think? Is it? Are we doing anything right? Are we doing good things? I mean, people appreciate the observers being in the gym.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we do for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say. I think the coaches know it too.
Yeah, I don't think it matters what level you are at, beginner, intermediate, experience doing it for a long time. I think it's nice to see somebody in there that, gives you some valuable feedback.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
I think
Glad we're doing it.
I'm not sure if we've touched on this, but it feels like most officials are like type A personalities, right? I mean, you about have to be able to do this and take the criticism and some of the crap we go through on a nightly basis, right?
Yep.
But I also think if you aren't looking to improve every single night you're out there and asking the question of your crewmates that night or an evaluator or maybe even a coach or something, right? I don't think you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not doing that. I mean, I think every night we can strive to get better, and film has been a great way of doing that, and all these evaluations have been a great way of doing that, I think. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to Chuck's point earlier, as I'm watching film of games that I've officiated, I'm going to look back at, am I in position? Like, that's just stuff that I haven't really thought about. But since Chuck said that, it's just the little things that you can do as you watch your film back. So,
yeah, I think everybody needs to realize that we're going to miss calls. And if
we talked about that earlier before you came on, we're going to miss some.
Yeah, and if we miss them and we're in position, we can get by that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard one of your favorite lines. I always knew that if I made a mistake, I should own up to it. I always thought accountability was huge.
Yeah.
And when I thought I didn't make a mistake, I would just say, Coach, if it happened the way you said it did, I missed it.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great comeback. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm probably getting too serious here, but refereed a football playoff game at Sioux City, Heelan. It was a semifinal. And the reason I tell the story is that everybody makes mistakes. Well, we had a blocked. It was a semifinal. Valley was ahead of Heelan, and they were going to kick to go up by 4 points, a field goal. Middle of the fourth quarter, and kid goes to kick it, and Heelan blocks it up over his head, takes a big high, it goes high in the air, lands on the field, and takes a big bounce, and this kid catches it in stride, headed for the other goal line. The only problem is that the referee on the game blew his whistle. And he wasn't going to get that touchdown. Well, this kid ran 70 yards all the way to the goal line. He didn't stop, even though he heard the whistle. And I just wanted to take a shovel and crawl in that hole. I really did. So we bring it back. My umpire is standing around. He's not being brief. And I said, Gary, sit the damn ball down. Let's go. So I mark it first down, Heelan. My wing guy blows his whistle and starts to run in, and he goes, hey Chuck, Coach Malsum, who for those of you who know Jenny Malsum, her husband Joe was the head coach of Heelan, who I did not know at all. So he goes, Coach Mawson would like to talk to you. I went, no kidding. So I went kind of over a little bit of jogging over to the sideline, and I'm thinking, what am I going to say to this guy? I have no idea what I'm going to say to him. And he starts to go crazy. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I did not come over here to listen to you. I came over here because you're going to listen to me. I said, here's what I had, an inadvertent whistle. I have no idea why I blew that whistle. None, but I did. You're not getting a touchdown. You're going to get the football where you recovered it. And we're going to go first down. We're going to go first down your way. I said, now you have 30 seconds. You can do or say anything you want to do to me. But when that's over, we're done. I'll never forget it. He looked me square in the eye and he said, how can I argue with that?
Nice.
Good story.
So I start to head back to the middle of the field. Well, actually, I said to him, I said, we good? He goes, we're good. I head back to the middle of the field. And about halfway, he yells, Chuck, come here. So I turn around and I go back and I said, yes, coach. He looked at me square in the eye and he goes, you better hope we score. And we went back and luckily they did score a touchdown and they won the game. But man, you talk about stupid things. And when I'm watching officials, those things go through my head. Everybody has them, and it's how you deal with them. So anyway,
how many officials you got this year? Do you know, like varsity level or?
Yeah, there's right at 1,700. There's right at 1,750 that are registered. I believe that's about 125 more than last year.
Awesome.
I think.
Wow.
And
That's great.
the part that's the best, in my opinion, is that when I started doing this 6-7 years ago, we had 330 some people that were eligible for postseason. We have 505 this year.
Wow.
And some of it is that I think it's a little more clear on what you have to do to be postseason eligible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Dragonfly change was really good, where you can put your schedule in all the way up through January if you want to make changes, that kind of thing. Although I don't think that's that big a deal, but at least giving you the option to do it. So,
can you tell our listeners a little bit about how you narrowed down that 500 and some tournament eligible officials to your first round game, second, all the way down to the state tournament?
There were 635 officials who wanted to be in postseason. There were 505 who had a recommendation from a coach or a school.
So that means the coach or school said they were a good official, basically. They would like to have them in a tournament game.
I'd like that official to work my postseason.
Okay.
I think that is worthy of at least a notice. Obviously, I can't use 505 officials because there's not that many spots. And then I start to pare it down. And some of it might be there's a really good official who's worked for 3 or 4 years, and they started out with one recommendation, and the next year they have 2, and the next year they have 3. Well, they're going in the right direction. And they may need to be paired with 2 veterans. I'm trying to do more splitting with early rounds because there's a lot of reasons for it. And you want me to tell you what those are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, do it.
Reason I do that is that I remember when we were working early round tournament games, sometimes they weren't like we weren't that excited about where we were. And I think if you take a veteran and put them with a couple new people, all of a sudden you have 2 people that are really excited, and you have a veteran who is given an opportunity to help somebody. And so And maybe there's less worried about what the actual game is that they're at, and more about how can I help this guy or this gal. But speaking of gal, or speaking of ladies, I'm really proud of the fact that we've got about 50 females that are licensed to referee, and I think we have 13 that'll be working postseason,
Nice.
which I'm very excited about. And we've really done a good job, I think, of identifying new people, new high quality people, and moving them forward. So the schools and the coaches do a really good job of letting us know who's doing a good job. So
How many officials make it to the state tournament?
60. This year will be a little different because we're going to have bench official for each day, for each game.
Okay.
So there'll be 60 on the floor, and there'll be 4 bench officials. Four bench officials on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then 2 officials who worked on the floor will be bench officials on Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
So if we have on the championship games or that kind of thing. So
Gotcha.
yeah. 45 officials will work 2 games and 15 will work 1.
Okay.
And we'll probably bring in, I don't know, we're going to try to bring in 60 new guys this year and get rid of the old lot, bring in new people.
Yep. Sorry, Jim.
Well, I guess that's all the time we have.
We'll see you later, Chuck.
I like to if somebody's worthy, I like to rotate,
Yep.
and I don't really like, I don't necessarily like how it is. I'd like to do maybe some more juggling, but it's a pretty good system. I know all the officials hate the recommendation system. I know they do, but I'm telling you, it is almost spot on. It really is.
So between recommendations and your evaluations and your knowledge of those officials, that's kind of how you get to who's at the state tournament, basically.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep. And then I have to approve everything with Gene and Gary. And to this point, she's never questioned anything. I mean, she's awesome. I don't think we have any idea maybe how awesome. So
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she is. Her old boss was Troy Dannon.
Yep.
And he must have known what he was doing, because he's making enough money now. He didn't have to talk to the rest of us.
That's right.
Funny. A funny Troy Dannon story.
Yep.
Troy was in college, and we were good friends. I was in his first wedding, and he did not referee football, but we went up to Crestwood one night to referee football, and we've been having a little problem with one of our wing guys. This wing guy this maybe tell you a little bit about who I am. This wingman made a call in the game, and then there was a call that was really, everybody on the sideline erupted. It's one of those things where you know that pretty much everybody is right, and you know how that.
Yeah.
So I went over to him and I said, "Now, did that clip happen before the change of possession?" And he goes, "Yeah, it happened before the change of possession." And the coach just raised holy hell. So I thought, God, I don't know. He's raising hell. I better ask him again. I said, and he was in that official's ear, and he says, "Did he?" I said, "No. Was that before the change of possession or after?" And he changed it, and he goes, "After." Well, this was about the 3rd week in a row that we had this, and Troy Dannon had decided he was going to ride along with us to go to Crestwood and watch us referee football. At Crestwood, you have to go at halftime. You go and sit in a van by the side of the field.
Is there a river down by the river?
There is not, but there's a babbling brook. So this guy, we get in the car, and this guy starts popping off about what a jerk this coach is, and how he couldn't get along with him, and he wouldn't believe anything he said, and da 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 da. Finally, I could tell my crew was about ready to explode. So I just turned and looked at the guy. I said, I don't know about all of that, but I do know this. I said, you're about to work your last half of a football game with our crew. And I want your flag and I want your whistle.
Ooh.
And we went back out. It was warm. That night was warm, but it was cold. And we went out and we drove. We finished the game and went fine. We didn't have any stupid calls on that sideline. And we got home to Cedar Falls that night, and I had dropped this guy off, and I turned to Troy. I said, "Hey, have you ever worked football?" He goes, "No." I said, "You're not licensed?" He goes, "No." I said, "Well, what are you doing next Friday? Because I need a guy." And so we got Troy licensed on Monday morning and went and worked a junior high game at New Hartford, Iowa. And then we took him to Waterloo and worked 2 junior high games at middle school there. And on Friday night, he worked his first varsity football game with us at O-line. Yeah. And he did a great job. He really did. Yeah. So, but yeah, he's a good dude. And he doesn't even talk to me anymore. So he's big.
That's a great story, because I've been trying to figure out how to have that conversation with
There
Jim.
you go. Just get him in a van. Just get him in a van, Sam.
Oh, Sam. So that reminds me of a football story we had actually at our place this year at Melcher Dallas. And I'm out on the field watching a little flag football game as the AD and watching it go on, taking a few pictures of it. And one of the other officials comes out on the field and says, "Hey, I need your help. I got 2 officials that are arguing with each other." So we have a dugout, and then I have a shed at the end of the dugout that I clean everything out of it, and that's where the officials go at halftime. And I coming around the corner, and there's one that's yelling at the other official.
Yeah.
And I went in and I said, "Hey," I said, "all of my fans can hear you right back behind here yelling. This has got to stop." And they talked about some things, and I said, and one guy kept arguing. I said, "You are either going to quit arguing or you're going to leave." And they finally did, but it was all over the referee trying to explain just a mechanic issue to the umpire. And the umpire took offense to it and was all mad about it and didn't want him telling him what to do. And so I honestly, the referee talked to me after the game. He said, "What would you do?" I said, "He wouldn't be on my crew next week."
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you're gone.
Yep, you're gone.
So crazy things happen when you officiate. And luckily I haven't, hit Sam. Well, maybe I have, but we won't talk about that. But, luckily we do get along very well, and we have a lot of fun doing what we do. Otherwise, I don't know how you would do it any longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back in the good old days, if you were working 6-on-6, you could throw the ball at their head.
I did that. I used to throw it at my uncle's feet every once in a while.
Sam, 6-on-6 was basketball back before you were born, and the girls' side.
And
okay. I wasn't familiar.
Took it out of the peach basket and then threw it up to the other official, who bounced it to the person at the center court. So
that's when you were whittling your whistles out of dinosaur bones, right, Jim?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Do
you guys have any other questions for Chuck?
No, just glad you came on here.
Absolutely. We appreciate it.
Some wisdom.
Thanks a lot.
Chuck, I got one more for you before you go here.
Right.
What's your favorite officiating moment?
My favorite officiating moment, like when you're officiating.
For you, what's your favorite moment that you've had?
My favorite moment was calling an offensive foul on Kevin Duckworth.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Did he like the call?
He did not.
They
That was,
never do.
that was back when they played Eastern Illinois played at Northern Iowa in the Unidome. And when Kevin Duckworth would come down and set up in the post, it was like an eclipse.
I bet.
He blocked out all the light. He was so huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's probably my favorite moment.
That's
Awesome.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your time. And I think we could do this again if you'd be willing to come back again, and we could go another hour easy. So we appreciate
I'll have my
Absolutely.
agent give you a call.
it. Sounds good.
Perfect.
And officials, don't forget, next Wednesday at 6:30 will be that webinar. So
Hey, let me do one more story.
Yeah.
You,
okay.
you remember Johnny? Oh, you guys aren't old enough. Remember Johnny Orr coaching at Iowa State?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Remember his assistant, Charlie Harrison?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He had a little peg leg.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Charlie Harrison left Iowa State, went to Eastern Carolina.
Okay.
Okay. He was the head coach at Eastern Carolina. Eastern Carolina played Western Illinois. And Randy Bruns and myself were assigned that game. And I don't know what Charlie Harrison said, but he said something that Randy was kind of one of those things where Randy kind of wanted to say, well, that's a dumbass thing to say, except he gave him that little wry smile. Charlie Harrison went off. He went off. He goes, this is my livelihood. You're laughing at me. I can't. Went crazy. Game got over, and he chased us to the locker room. And he was doing his best Chester impersonation running across that court. And we got in the locker room before he did, and he stood out there for 5 minutes banging on that door.
Holy cow.
You had to be there to see it, but if you know who Chester was with Matt Dillon, that was Charlie Harrison.
That's
That's
fantastic.
the game.
Good stuff.
Oh.
Well, thank you again for joining us, and I'm
Yes,
sure we'll
thank
see you down the road. And thanks for everything you do for the officials here in the state.
Yeah. Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you guys.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Have a
Thank you
good
very
one.
much.
Thanks, you too.
You too.
Keep up the work.
We'll try.
We
It's
will.
tough with Jim.
Am I out of here?
I think
You're
so.
out.
Andrew,
Do you take me out, or do I take me out?
well, go ahead. Kick yourself out. There we go.
He's gone. He gone.
Oh, he gone.
You go.
Well, wow. I mean,
Whoa.
we're at an hour and a half. Fantastic.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could go longer with Chuck. That's awesome having him on.
Yeah. Tons of stories.
Absolutely great. Appreciate what he
It's a-
does. And
It's a good thing we didn't have those videos tonight, because we'd be at 2 hours.
Yeah.
We probably
Yeah.
lost all our viewers by now.
Yeah,
but,
they're probably like, we can't listen this long to these guys.
yeah.
can't
Hey, you guys
stand
got
looking at
anything
Jim
else?
looking through his
I can't.
bifocals like this.
I can't stand looking at Jim either.
Hey, Sam, knock it off.
All right.
Really,
So
we just need
next-
to touch
next
on our
week,
upcoming schedule. Yeah. Yep.
I don't
Yeah,
think
you
I'm
wanna-
working with you guys next week, right?
No, we got rid of Jim for a little bit. He has to actually work
I
at his
have 2 home
job.
games next week. I'm sorry.
No, you don't. They're at Southeast Warren.
Well, they're home games, but they're at Southeast Warren. Sorry.
So, Jim, you kind of start and finish these 2 weeks before our next podcast. We have you Friday with us at ADM against Bondurant Farrar. That'll be a fun night.
That'll
And
be a good
then
one.
our last game that Tuesday before our next podcast, we're at Panorama, and you're back with us then. Panorama and Woodward Granger.
Got it.
And then Sam and I've got three other games in between there where we're going to actually Audubon on Saturday. That's
This Saturday's
Elkhorn.
Elkhorn, isn't it?
yeah, Elkhorn, Exira, and now Audubon on the girls' side. They joined because I think Audubon had low numbers.
Oh, gotcha.
So that just got changed. We're going to Audubon, and they play IKM Manning, I believe. And Casey Pelzer will be with us. Shout out to Casey. I know he was upset that we haven't mentioned him every time in the podcast.
Shout out to Casey.
He'll
There
probably
you
be
go,
the last
Casey.
time.
Pastor Casey, by the way.
Yes.
And then Tuesday the 12th, we head to Greene County, and they play Nevada. And I believe, is it Chris Marzin that's with us that night?
I think so.
With Sam and I, good young official also. And then December 15th is a Friday, and we go to Des Moines East against Des Moines Hoover, and that'll be me and Sam and Casey again. So
Then I go to Des Moines East on Saturday.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And then we're at Panorama back with Jim. So that's kind of our next 2 weeks before our next podcast. And then I think we just have one more game after that before until Christmas break, right?
Yeah. At DCG.
Yep. The 21st.
Yep.
So that'll be a fantastic night. That'll be
a good one.
It will. Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Okay.
Well, hey, you guys got anything else?
That's it.
All right. As always, thanks to Gravitate Co-working Studio, Revelton, and also Three Beards Media, and Andrew in the background. Appreciate all you guys.
Thanks,
for making
Andrew.
this possible. And
Yep, thanks, Andrew.
with that, we'll sign off and see you next time.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See you
Later.
guys.